the moment my husband's mistress locked the door on my life was the moment I got into a car with the Mafia boss. I was trading a gilded cage for a throne in the dark. The rain hammered the mansion's marble porch, but the cold shock of seeing Erica's smug face, key in hand, was worse. She mocked me as my luggage hit the stone. Samuel needs a wife who actually stays home. My hands trembled, not just from the cold, but from the raw disgrace. I turned away from my perfect poisoned world. That's when I saw it, a sleek black Escalade idling at the gate. A dark figure emerged, radiating danger and power. He didn't ask if I was okay. He simply opened the rear door. "Get in," Daniel the Reaper Alessio commanded, his eyes pale gray, pinning me in place. I slid inside, trading one man's betrayal for another's absolute ownership. The leather seat was warm against my soaked dress. Daniel settled beside me, close enough that I could smell expensive cologne mixed with something darker, something that warned me this man had seen violence up close. His driver pulled away from the curb without a word, and I watched my mansion, my carefully curated life, disappear into the rain-blurred darkness. "You're Brittany Brown," Daniel said. Not a question, a statement of fact, delivered in a voice like gravel and silk. "Interior designer, married to Samuel Simmons for 3 years. You just returned from Milan where you secured the Castellano contract? Congratulations." My blood went cold. "How do you know that?" He turned those pale gray eyes on me, and I saw something ancient and predatory there. "I know everything about your husband, Mrs. Simmons, which means I know everything about you. The real question is, do you know anything about him?" I wanted to demand he let me out. I wanted to scream. Instead, I sat frozen, watching the city lights stream past, feeling the weight of his gaze on my profile. Samuel had always been secretive about his business dealings, dismissing my questions with patronizing kisses and expensive gifts. I told myself it was normal, that powerful men compartmentalize their lives. "He's in finance," I whispered. Daniel's laugh was sharp and humorless. "Is that what he told you? Finance." He leaned forward, speaking to his driver. "Take us to the estate, Marcus." "Wait, where are you taking me?" "Somewhere safe." He pulled out his phone, scrolled through something, then turned the screen toward me. I saw photographs of Samuel in dark restaurants with men whose faces belonged in crime documentaries. Samuel signing documents beside someone I recognized from news reports about organized crime. Samuel handing over briefcases to people whose eyes held the same dead calm as Daniel's. "Your husband," continued Daniel, his voice deadly quiet, "has been laundering money through shell corporations and rigged construction contracts for the past 2 years. He owes $14 million to the Crimson Syndicate. They're not the kind of people who negotiate payment plans, Brittany. They collect, in blood if necessary." The car felt like it was spinning. I gripped the armrest, my perfect nails digging into leather. "That's impossible. Samuel runs a legitimate investment firm. We have friends, charity galas, a reputation. You have a lie." Daniel's hand caught my chin, forcing me to look at him. His touch was firm, but not painful, possessive in a way that should have terrified me, but instead sent heat through my rain-chilled body. "And that lie just threw you out in the rain because you've become a liability. Erica isn't just his mistress, she's his exit strategy. The syndicate knows about you, knows you have access to accounts and properties. You're either an asset or a loose end.
Which do you think they'll choose? If you can't stand people who betray the ones who trust them most, hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments. Type, "Nobody deserves that." Because what happened next only got worse.
Daniel's estate wasn't what I expected. No gaudy mansion, no ostentatious displays of wealth. Instead, we drove through a private gate into what looked like a modern fortress, all clean lines and reinforced glass, surrounded by ancient trees that created a natural barrier from the outside world. Security cameras tracked our movement. Armed men in dark suits nodded to Daniel as we passed. "This is where you'll stay," he said, as Marcus opened my door. "Until we neutralize the threat." I didn't agree to stay anywhere with you. He was already walking toward the entrance, and I found myself following, my designer heels clicking against wet stone. "You got in my car. That was your agreement." He paused at the doorway, turning back to me. "You can leave any time you want, Brittany. Walk out that gate, go back to your old life, and wait for the syndicate to find you. I give you 48 hours before they do. Or you can stay, and I can keep you alive." The interior was stunning despite the circumstances, minimalist but warm, with art I recognized from exclusive galleries and furniture that whispered of quiet, confident wealth. Nothing like Samuel's showy mansion with its gold fixtures and marble excess. This was the home of someone who didn't need to prove anything. A woman in her 50s appeared, efficient and kind-faced. "Mrs. Simmons, I'm Teresa. I'll show you to your room. Your clothes are ruined, and Mr. Alessio thought you might need something dry." I followed her up a floating staircase to a bedroom suite that was larger than some apartments. Through the windows, I could see the estate's grounds, lit by subtle landscape lighting that made the rain look almost beautiful. On the bed lay silk pajamas, a cashmere robe, everything in my exact size. "How did he know?" "Mr. Alessio is very thorough," Teresa said gently. "There's a bathroom through that door. Take your time. He'll wait."
Daniel was waiting in a study that smelled of leather and bourbon. He changed into dark slacks and a white shirt, sleeves rolled up to reveal forearms marked with scars that told stories I probably didn't want to hear. He gestured to the chair across from his desk. "I need you to understand something," he said, pouring amber liquid into 2 glasses. He slid one toward me. "Your husband didn't just launder money. He created an entire network of fraudulent contracts using your design firm's credentials. Every property you've worked on in the past 18 months has been part of his scheme. The Castellano contract you just secured, he was planning to use it to move another $8 million through fabricated renovation costs." I drank the bourbon in one burning gulp. My firm. He used my firm. Your name, your reputation, your connections. You were the perfect cover. Talented, respected, too focused on your work to ask questions. He leaned back, studying me. "The syndicate is angry because Samuel got greedy, skimmed off the top. They want their money. They'll tear apart everything connected to him to get it." "Then why did you take me? Why do you care if I live or die?" Something shifted in his expression, something almost human beneath the predator. "Because Samuel Simmons destroyed someone I loved, used the syndicate's money to fund a hit that killed my sister 2 years ago. I've been waiting for the right moment to take everything from him. His freedom, his money, his reputation." He paused. His wife. The possessiveness in that last word should have sent me running. Instead, it anchored me, gave me something solid in a world that had tilted sideways. So I'm just revenge. No. He stood, moved around the desk until he was close enough that I had to tilt my head back to meet his eyes. You're leverage, but you're also the only person who knows where all the bodies are buried. You've been inside every property, seen every document Samuel kept in that home office he thought you didn't pay attention to. You're smart, Brittany. Smarter than he ever gave you credit for.
No. He stood, moved around the desk until he was close enough that I had to tilt my head back to meet his eyes. You're leverage, but you're also the only person who knows where all the bodies are buried. You've been inside every property, seen every document Samuel kept in that home office he thought you didn't pay attention to. You're smart, Brittany, smarter than he ever gave you credit for. If you believe loyalty and truth matter more than lies and betrayal, hit that subscribe button. People like Samuel won't, and you need to hear what she did about it. He was right. I'd seen things. Paid attention even when Samuel thought I was just obsessing over paint samples and furniture placement. I knew about the offshore accounts listed in fake folders labeled renovation budgets. I'd memorized the names on documents I wasn't supposed to see, filed them away in my designer's brain that never forgot a detail. "What do you want from me?" I asked. "Everything you know. Every account number, every property, every name. Help me expose him and dismantle the syndicate's operation, and I'll make sure you're not just safe. I'll make sure you're free, really free. Not the gilded cage freedom Samuel gave you." I thought about my life, the charity luncheons where women smiled with venom in their eyes, the constant pressure to be perfect, to be beautiful, to be seen but never heard. The way Samuel had patted my hand whenever I suggested expanding my firm, told me I should focus on our home instead of chasing dreams. I want my firm back, my real firm, my name cleared, and I want him to lose everything the way he made me lose everything tonight. Daniel smiled, and it transformed his face from dangerous to devastating. "Then we have a deal, Mrs. Simmons." "Brittany," I corrected. "I'm done being Mrs. Simmons." He extended his hand, and when I took it, his fingers closed around mine with a warmth that promised protection and possession in equal measure. "Brittany," he repeated, making my name sound like something valuable.
3 days later, Samuel called. I'd been working with Daniel's people, mapping out every property and account I could remember, filling in blanks in their investigation. Daniel handed me his phone when Samuel's number appeared. He said, "Answer it. Let him hear what happens when he underestimates you." My hands shook, but my voice was steady. "Hello, Samuel." "Erica! Oh God, baby, where are you?" "Erica made a mistake. I've been trying to reach you. I'm so sorry. Just come home and we'll fix this." "I know about the Crimson Syndicate." Silence. Beautiful, terrible silence. "I know about the money laundering, the shell corporations, the 14 million you owe. I know you used my firm as your cover." "Brittany, whatever someone told you." "I know you had Daniel Alessio's sister killed." I looked at Daniel as I said it, saw his jaw tighten. "I know everything, Samuel, and I've given it all to someone who knows exactly what to do with it." "You wouldn't," his voice cracked. "You need me. You need the life we built. You're nothing without me." For 3 years, I'd believed that. believed I needed his money, his status, his name to be complete. But standing in Daniel's study, wrapped in borrowed silk, working with a man who saw my intelligence instead of just my decorating skills, I finally understood the truth. I was never nothing, I said quietly. You just needed me to think I was. Goodbye, Samuel. I ended the call and handed the phone back to Daniel. My hands had stopped shaking. Something fundamental had shifted inside me, like a locked door finally opening to reveal a room I'd forgotten existed. How do you feel? Daniel asked. Free, terrified, but free. He moved closer, his hand cupping my face with surprising gentleness. The terror passes. The freedom doesn't. Late one night, I found Daniel in his study, staring at a photograph I hadn't seen before. A young woman with his eyes, laughing in sunlight. Your sister? I asked softly. He didn't startle. Maybe he'd known I was there all along. Sophia. She was going to be a doctor. Had this stupid dream of opening a free clinic in the old neighborhood. His voice was rough with old grief. The syndicate needed to send Samuel a message about loyalty. She was just collateral damage. I moved behind him, placed my hand on his shoulder. His muscles were tense beneath my palm. I'm sorry. She would have liked you, he said. Would have told me I'm an idiot for falling for someone while trying to take down a crime organization. My breath caught. Falling. He turned, and the look in his eyes was answer enough. Then his mouth was on mine, demanding and desperate, and I was kissing him back with 3 years of suppressed passion and rage. His hands tangled in my hair, pulled me closer until there was no space between us. I tasted bourbon and danger, and something that felt impossibly like safety. When we broke apart, both breathing hard, he pressed his forehead to mine. This is real, he said. Whatever this is between us, it's real. I know, I whispered, because I did. In the chaos and terror, something true had grown. Something that had nothing to do with status or appearances, and everything to do with seeing each other completely. The plan was simple. We'd arranged a meeting at a commercial property I'd designed, supposedly to hand over the evidence Samuel needed to clear his debt. But we were really delivering the syndicate's leaders to the FBI, who'd been building a case for years. We arrived at sunset. The building was one of my favorites, a converted warehouse with soaring ceilings and industrial elegance. Daniel's men were positioned strategically, invisible but present. Everything was going according to plan, until Samuel walked in with 5 syndicate soldiers instead of 2. Brittany. Samuel looked terrible, aged a decade in a week. I'm so sorry it came to this. The syndicate's leader, a man called Volkov, smiled coldly. Your husband made us a deal, Mrs. Simmons. You and your information for his debt forgiveness. Quite generous of him. Daniel moved in front of me instantly, his body a shield. She's not part of any deal. Everything is negotiable, Volkov said, and his men drew weapons. The next minutes were chaos. Gunfire exploded through the space. Daniel's men returned fire. I dropped behind a concrete pillar, heart hammering, watching Daniel move with lethal precision. But they were outnumbered, and Volkov was dragging me backward, gun pressed to my temple. Tell your men to stand down, Alessio, or I paint these nice walls with her brain. Daniel froze, and I saw the calculation in his eyes. Saw him weighing my life against his revenge. Then his expression hardened into something absolutely final. "No," he said simply. Comment, "Truth over betrayal," if you're Team Brittany. The lies can't win. Now watch what happens when she finally fights back. But I wasn't waiting to be saved. I designed this building, knew every structural element, every hidden space. While Volkov's attention was on Daniel, I slammed my heel down on his instep and dropped, rolling toward a wall panel I'd installed myself. "Daniel!" I screamed. "Southeast corner, load-bearing wall!" He understood instantly. His shot was perfect, hitting exactly where I'd indicated. The wall panel exploded, triggering a chain reaction I'd built into the design, a security feature that sealed the building's exits using industrial shutters. The syndicate soldiers were trapped. Daniel moved like death itself, disarming Volkov before the man could process what was happening. Within minutes, the FBI was swarming in through override codes Daniel had arranged, and the Crimson Syndicate's leadership was in handcuffs. Samuel tried to run. I stepped into his path. "You said I was nothing without you," I said, my voice carrying across the suddenly quiet space. "But I just brought down an entire crime syndicate, using the skills you never bothered to value. I am so much more than you ever let me be." His face crumpled, but I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no anger. Just a vast, clean emptiness where he used to live in my heart. 6 months later, I stood in the bedroom of Daniel's estate, our estate, watching sunset paint the grounds gold. My design firm had been cleared of all charges and was thriving under my complete control. I'd just secured a contract to redesign an entire historic district, working with people who valued my vision and intellect. Daniel appeared in the doorway, still wearing his suit from whatever dangerous business had occupied his day. But his eyes softened when he saw me, my hand resting on the small swell of our child growing beneath my dress. "How are you feeling?" he asked, crossing to wrap his arms around me from behind. "I'm feeling powerful," I said honestly. "Happy. Safe. Good." He pressed a kiss to my neck. "Because you are. Always will be." I leaned back into his strength, looking out over the fortress we'd built together. Not a gilded cage this time. A real home, built on truth and blood, and the kind of love that emerges from seeing someone at their absolute worst and choosing them anyway. If you watched or listened up to this point, comment the country you are watching this from. Represent your country. I'd traded one throne for another, but this time I'd claimed it myself, with a man who understood that real power isn't about controlling someone. It's about standing beside them while they become who they were always meant to be. Samuel had locked me out of his mansion, but Daniel had unlocked something far more valuable, the woman I'd buried beneath designer clothes and perfect smiles, the woman who could bring down crime syndicates and build empires with equal skill. The Reaper had found me broken in the rain. Together, we'd built something unbreakable, and I'd never looked back at the gilded cage I'd left behind.